before we do that, we got this show. It's one of our last ranking shows of the season, and we want to call on a special guest on the women's side of this competition, Mr. Sean Cleary from West Virginia, joining us out, I think, from the track. So, Sean, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, Ryan, Ashley, thanks for having me. Doing well here. Just enjoying a 65-degree day here in Morgantown before we board a plane in 48 hours.
Well, it's been an exciting season. We've been talking about it throughout our show here, but it's really been an exciting season for you guys. I want to say the West Virginia women feel like have been the most underrated team of the season. I was looking back through the rankings, both FloTrack rankings, the coaches' rankings, and I think you might have snuck into the rankings, you know, in the 28th spot or something like that at some point in the season, but it really wasn't until about a month ago, a little less than a month ago, where you guys shot up to 5th in the rankings. So I just want to get your perspective on the season coming into this. Where were you guys at, and are you surprised at where the team sits now, at least in the eyes of those outside of this?
You know, on October 1st, if I remember correctly, we were ranked 10th in the region, the Mid-Atlantic region, on October 1st. I think the national poll saw it a little bit differently, and I think they gave us a little bit of love. You know, we had a good roster on paper, but some of those women in the top 7 really had to make big breakthroughs for us to take another jump. To answer you truthfully, I would say I would not have thought on the 1st that we would be sitting here this far inside of the top 10, according to some of the polls. But I did feel that we had a top 10 team if we nailed the NCAAs back at camp. So that's been our goal for the season. We thought we should make nationals. We thought that we had an opportunity with the front-running talent that we have to be inside the top 10. So that's where we are this week, and we feel very grateful.
You talked a little bit about, I mean, shoot, earlier in the season, ranked 10th in the Mid-Atlantic region poll. You go in then this weekend and you win the region. You come away with a regional title. I believe you're first in 20 years, I believe.
It's been a while. Our first was 20 years ago. We've won since then, but it's been over a decade, so it has been a while.
Talk to me about, you know, just seeing your squad, I guess, progress throughout the season to this point where you win a regional title. You're one of, could argue, you know, one of those contenders for a podium spot potentially at nationals. Like, what have you seen from this squad to come away with some big wins here?
Well, I think if you go back to that 10th place ranking, I think in the defense of the Mid-Atlantic, our ranker, I feel in September I didn't run, let's just call it the varsity team. We lined up the first week of October at Louisville, so we'd put teams out there in September that did a great job for who they were, and they competed for West Virginia very well, but they certainly weren't a nationally ranked team. So I think as we put the team out there for 2 or 3 times in September, we were probably ranked based on those performances. To be honest, I kind of respect the philosophy. I think everyone has a different one, but once we put the team on the line in October and went down to Louisville, I knew at that point that compared to teams, we've been now to the national meet 4 of the last 5, and we've run Louisville most of those years. So I know the course quite well, and I knew where our pack ran in comparison to our front runners. So I knew we were good. Being totally honest with you, some of my closer friends asked me a day or two before the pre-national meet, where do you hope to finish? And I don't remember what I said, but I probably would have said, give me 10th right now, and I'll take it and run. So getting 4th that day sort of changed the trajectory of our fall. We've been hitting 5 for 5 in all 4 meets. We've got 5 across the line at, I would say, a worst grade of an A-. So we've probably been one of the most consistent teams in terms of having 5 at that level and being able to nail it at a very high report card. So we're through the Big 12 meet. We're through the Mid-Atlantic regionals now, and if we get one more of those grades, we should be pretty happy leaving on Saturday.
So you say it changed the trajectory, right? That 4th place finish at pre-nat. So what does that mean, and how did that impact your approach with this team, and potentially what the what that future held for you come Madison?
Well, I think at that point they believed that they were that they at least were a top 10 team, and other experts out there in our world of cross country are putting us as high as fourth and fifth and sixth, somewhere in there. So I think the philosophy has been, if you're going to be ranked fourth, fifth, or sixth, then you may as well take a shot at a trophy. And that's kind of been the motto here. We're going to set ourselves up the best we can. I know there's other really good teams that are sitting in the weeds and kind of licking their chops as to what can happen this weekend. They've probably felt a little slighted. They've probably felt that they're our equal, but that's why we run, and we'll figure all that stuff out on Saturday.
For you as a coach, what do you think has been, in particular, the key to success really for your team this season? Again, we've already talked about a lot of the big performances you guys have had at big meets, including pre-nationals, again, second at Big 12s, and then that Mid-Atlantic regional title. What do you think has been for your team that key to success?
Well, I think we have really strong 6 and 7 runners, but they're both coming off of a lot of hiccups, and we haven't had to rely on them at this point, although they're slowly coming. But I think the 5 have just not made a mistake. It's so rare. We've done 4 meets in a row with 5 great performances, and I think that's it. Our pack, we have 2 wonderful front runners, but our pack have just been incredible. And one young lady in that group of 3, 4, 5 has a 2-minute college PR at 6K. While times may not matter, 2 minutes is, that's amazing. And we were fortunate enough to get a transfer come in, and it was just the time in her career that she was going to take off and be able to handle the pressure of the second pack in NCAA cross country running. And we have a third who quite honestly has just embraced the pack, and they have been the backbone of our team. Obviously, having Kaylee and Joy out front relieves them with a little bit of pressure, but they've got to do their job, and they've done it wonderfully. So I think that's the key, just the foundation of that pack. They've alternated. They've all been third, they've all been fourth, and they've all been fifth runner in our last 3 races.
Yeah, that top 5 has seemed super strong. You mentioned Kaylee up front, Kaylee McCabe. She was third back in 2021 at this meet, and so coming back to this cross country championships, I'm just curious, like how much having that low stick and that experience up there plays such a big part of like what you guys hope to do this weekend.
It's interesting when people maybe tend to look in from outside on Kaylee's career. Kaylee has one big blemish that she would completely own, and she was 24th in the NCAA meet 2 years ago. She had some serious issues going on that day, and unfortunately was there at 5K with Caitlin in the pack and just couldn't finish it off. But she hasn't really had a bad race at the NCAA meet in terms of what I felt her potential was on the given day. Maybe 6 weeks out, I think there were higher expectations. But it's when you have someone who never runs poorly based on their potential on the day, it's very satisfying for your team to know that she's going to come through for you. And I think as we line up this weekend, they have absolute faith in her. A year ago, she was redshirted intentionally for the Olympic year. We really wanted her on the Olympic team, and she obviously really wanted to be on the Olympic team. So she had her first fall of uninterrupted training. In the time that she's been with us, first year in was the COVID year, and she actually did track work. We worked on a lot of things with her that maybe we wouldn't have in a normal year. And then she went, tried to make the Olympic team and missed that by 2.0 seconds. And then the next year she went to Worlds, and next year she went to Worlds, and next year she went to the Olympics. So she basically hasn't had a traditional summer, the way you would kind of want to prepare. So I think the fact that she gets back in there early season, does light workouts, maybe with runners not at her caliber, and slowly works her way up. I would say in the time that I've been here at West Virginia, there's never been a leader who cared more about her team than Kaylee McCabe.
And obviously, it sounds like you got plenty of different pieces to plug in there for that successful West Virginia team, and we're going to see that all on the line this weekend, as you mentioned, at Nationals in Wisconsin. For you as a coach, for this team, what are you hoping to see you get put together, I guess, at the biggest high-stakes pressure event of the whole season?
Well, I think truthfully, when you run at the pre-nationals, which is not normally what we do here at West Virginia, nor Nuttycombe, very rarely do we go to those meets. We kind of stay comfortable on the East Coast and run Penn State's big invitationals. But this year was different. We went to pre-nats. I mean, I just don't see it being, I mean, weather conditions, yes, but, and maybe the quality of the course and how fast it may or may not be running. But I think they handled the pre-national meet like pros. We've had one of the women has got NCAA experience, even though we've made it quite often lately. The other 6 have not run at the national championships. So I was very relieved leaving pre-nationals that I felt like they handled that big mess with poise and every challenge since. So the kind of the statement over the next few days, we won't talk much about it, but when we do, it'll be they've already basically run a similar competition to the national meet, and they just got to go do again what they did at pre-nationals. And I know that'll be the message of all coaches, but I've got a lot of faith in this team that they're going to go out there and run the types of races we need them to run.
Sean, I want to take a look back. I know we're talking a lot about this weekend, but like looking back at your career at West Virginia, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 33 years, 2 as an athlete, 31 years as a coach there, started as a GA into an assistant coach, and then in 2007 took over the reins as the head coach of the program. And so like I look at the history and I see 2007 9th place finish, 2008 4th place finish, 2009 6th place finish. There, even in 2011 there was an 8th place finish. So you had a string of top 10s really immediately when you took over that head coaching role. Mm-hmm. And, for anyone that's followed women's distance running, West Virginia has had a strong program. I know you're from Canada. You have deep ties with the Canadian talent that comes out of there. Just with all those things, how do you compare this year's team to some of those teams that you had early on when you took over, and how they stack up to what you've seen this season?
With regards to that wonderful phase we had through 7, 8, 9, I think 11 and 13. I think in 13 we were 8th again. That was kind of a dream run, to be honest with you. And in the early stage of that part of my career, we had 3 front runners. Probably had 3 front runners as strong as any 3 in the country, and they were very, very underranked and undervalued high school recruits, and they came in and blossomed, and that was kind of the backbone. I think the difference is this team is that team had 3 front runners. I think between them they had 8 All-Americans between the 3 of them, and now then the other years that we've made it since, we've had 1 front runner and a nice pack, but now we've got 2. We're so far we've got 2 running at a very high level. But I think the difference in this generation right now is that our pack is closer than any of the other packs that I've had. And the reason I say that, I look at my 3, 4, 5, and I think, yes, they're 60 seconds behind Kaylee, but I don't think there's been a runner in the country that's run as hard as Kaylee has the entire season. And I say that's because of the types of meets we've happened to choose. And we went to Louisville, and the mile was 4:54. We went to pre-nats, and everyone saw what happened with the fast times there. We went to the Big 12, and Joy, her teammate, pushed that pace 9:29 at 3K. And then this past weekend, again, it was 4:54 at the mile, and Kaylee being 4 for 4 right now, she broke the Louisville record, she broke the Big 12 record, and the Baylor record. She broke the Mid-Atlantic region, which was Sheila Reed's, by 23 seconds. And she just hasn't run an easy 100 meters. She's been on the whole season. And I think when you have a gap from a leader who's that high a quality back to your 4 or 5, I think it's a true gap because there's no tactics being played. So I think the difference in this team right now is that 3, 4, 5, that's a true gap, with Kaylee running virtually all out. And I think that's what kind of makes this team exciting, and maybe what the potential is this week.
I want to get your perspective just on from the coaching side of this. We talk about that string of finishes when you stepped in as head coach in 2007. you know, when that's happening in real time, or you're like, man, we figured something out, let's just keep it rolling, and we go from fourth to try to get to third and second,
Yeah.
and let's get a national title. We're now 10 years removed since I think your last top 10 finish.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that, just kind of your growth as a coach and experiencing some of that, and just the challenges of being in the NCAA and trying to stay on the top, and how difficult that actually is.
Yeah, I don't know if humbling's the word. I certainly would have thought back in 2007, 8, or 9 that we would have had a legitimate shot at winning the national title by now. We've had a few national champions and a number of Olympians. I think we're at 5 or 6 Olympians since that time period. But you know, yeah, it's I guess it's a little humbling, but at the end of the day, running is just so different now. I think we worked extremely hard back in the 2000s, and I think everybody works extremely hard right now. And so it really does come down to recruiting, and it does come down to a little bit of luck. And let's be honest, the team that gets through this week without injury and sickness is going to stand the best chance of pulling off an upset. And the team that has a terrible time managing those two things are going to look like they choked, when really, realistically, they probably just had some bad luck. But you know, one of the coaches on the weekend, you know, was kind of inspired that we have made a comeback to this level. Definitely an equal peer of ours, and over her career, you know, superior. And I think what it does is it just allows certain coaches and programs to believe that they can still get back near the top and do it the right way.
Well, it's the challenge is an understatement, right? To be good and to stay good. You guys have had a great season this year. Are at near the top of the where you want to be probably right now, heading into a championship weekend, at least as it looks on paper and the way the team's running. So we wish you guys all the best as you head into Madison. You mentioned luck. You know, good luck. There's the good luck side and the bad luck side, and you want it to all kind of go in your direction. And who knows what can happen if that's the case. So we're excited to see how this all plays out up in Madison, Sean. And we thank you for taking some time to talk to us before heading out here in 2 days, I think you said, correct?
Yeah, we leave Wednesday. So
cool.
I appreciate it, guys. Ryan, Ashley, thanks for your time today.
Cool. Thank you, and best of luck out in Madison.
Okay. Bye-bye.